Another day, another Hespori, and we gotta stay on top of our farm runs as per usual. However, today we're gonna be switching over the POV back to wait for it, and that's because we're gonna be doing some Colosseum. Now, the reasoning is that we're gonna have to do some Slayer on 416 Hero, but before we get to do that, I kind of want the best in slot prayer gear. We can actually wear the Sunfire gear on this account. I believe the requirement is 60 prayer, which we have 63, so that works out. Besides, we are kind of knocking out two things at once here. We want the prayer gear on our wait for it account as well as 416 Hero, so it's a 2-in-1 thing here. And yeah, we'll head to the Colosseum after Hespori and the farm runs. Just wrapped up the farm run on 416 Hero. In about a week, maybe a little bit less, we're actually going to hit 99 farming. We've been doing magic trees, palm tree seeds, and Hespori every single day, so EXP is coming quickly. Anyways, we are on wait for it here, just outside the entrance to the Colosseum, and we are going to farm some Colosseum for the prayer gear, the Sunfire set. Now, the setup mostly is the same from our previous Colosseum runs. However, we just swap out the Torva plate body and legs for the Oath plate versions. Everything in the Colosseum is weak to slash, so naturally this is an easy decision to make. One of my clanmates actually did ask me if I was going to use the new Aether runes from Yama. However, I was just saying how those runes are in a little bit of an awkward situation for me as an Ironman. For one thing, you need 30,000 of those runes to convert your Oath plate to the Radiant Oath plate, and at some point in time in the future, I am going to go for that. For reference, right now, I have about 40,000 after completing over 1,000 Yama KC, so these things are hard to come by. Another thing is, I don't think the one inventory space that it's going to save me in this situation is going to make or break any Colosseum runs. Maybe if I was speedrunning and maybe if I had more optimized gear setups and I was more comfortable with the Colosseum, I would go for that. But for right now, this is a setup that I know works, and it's a setup that I know I can comfortably do the Colosseum with. Well, our first run, we made it to wave 10, and unfortunately, we died. Realistically, I didn't like my options on the modifiers for wave 10, and I probably should have backed out. I had to pick Doom, which I'm not entirely comfortable with, unless it's at, like, the very end for the soul fight. We missed out on some loot, and we lost 250k to our death's coffer, but we didn't miss out on any of the loot that we actually wanted, so I guess that's okay. Alright, don't like the modifiers, only made it to like wave 3, no, wave 4 that time, so we're just gonna take our gains there, our loot, and back out and reset. Okay, first Soul KC in quite some time. There's a quiver. No echo crystals, no what is it called? Sunfire items though, unfortunate. This is gonna sound really stupid, but I just realized I did that Coliseum KC in full Torva. This is because when I died, I like banked everything and re-geared, and this tab I have, this inventory setup tab I have, is currently still full Torva. I didn't upgrade it yet. So we did manage to get ourselves a second KC, another KC in Colosseum, and unfortunately, we didn't get anything out of it, but we kept moving. When I said we kept moving, well, we certainly did by dying a lot. Unfortunately, after getting 2 Coliseum KCs, we kind of hit a brick wall for ourselves. But many attempts later, we did find ourselves back in a 1v1 against Sol Heredit. Unfortunately, that time we threw a KC away. We just got the shakes while at Sol, and honestly, that run up to Sol was a pretty nerve-wracking one to begin with. I was messing up a lot in like the late waves, like 10 and 11, and I think I had less supplies than I wanted. And no, unfortunately, that was not a replay or a editing error. I did indeed once again make it back to Sol just to die again. On that previous run, we decided to claim our rewards after Wave 5. That's because back on Wave 4, we actually pulled an Echo Crystal. I didn't realize till after Wave 4 and 5, but luckily I caught it and decided, you know what, let's not risk it. Let's just take the Echo Crystal and get out of there. These bad boys are worth 5.7 mil. And apparently, the drop rate, the chance to see an Echo Crystal on Wave 4 is a 1 in 310 chance. Honestly, that doesn't sound too crazy. And as you know, we're here at the Colosseum because we are after the Sunfire Fanatic armor. And actually, the Sunfire armor is more common than the Echo Crystal. That was really surprising to me. It's a 1 in 206.67 chance to see it on Wave 4. So I have 2 takeaways from this. Good news, bad news type of thing. Bad news is if we pull up our collection log right now for the Fortis Colosseum, you'll see that I have 16 completions. And in terms of other uniques, aside from the quiver, of course, I only have 1 Sunfire Fanatic Helm, 3 Echo Crystals, which is actually only 2 pulls, because I believe back closer to original release, Echo Crystals used to come in pairs of 2. So we have 3 Echo Crystals, 2 pulls in terms of uniques. We have the Ralos, which is actually incredibly lucky, I think. We pulled it on like 14 KC maybe, so I guess that's where all the RNG went. And I don't think I've pulled any Onyxes from the Fortis Colosseum. This is just like a crossover from other parts of the collection log. I just realized I didn't really mention the good news, but I mean, it's kind of implied. I mean, the good news is that the Sunfire armor isn't actually that rare on paper, so in theory, we should get it soon. And I guess the best news is that obviously we don't have to do full Colosseum runs, full completions. We can get the armor we're looking for at any point after Wave 4. Now, it would still be in my best interest to get completions because obviously the higher wave you get to, the later in the Colosseum, the better your chances are at rewards. And also, while our quiver is blessed on this account, wait for it, the quiver on 416 Hero isn't blessed yet, so we're still burning up Sunfire Splinters every time we range on that account. So it'd be nice to get that one blessed as well. We've been continuing to chip away at the Fortis Colosseum, and the last couple of times I made it to Sol Heredit, for whatever reason I decided to try and do this one combat task. However, in doing so, I have thrown away a couple of Sol Heredit kills, and unfortunately, we have nothing to show for. The combat task in question is showboating. If you look here, it says defeat Sol Heredit after Fortis saluting to the north, east, south, and west of the arena, while he's below 10% hit points. Now that I'm reading this, I actually realized I've been doing this incorrectly, which honestly doesn't matter too much anyways, because every time I've tried to do this combat task, I've failed, but I didn't quite catch the below 10% hit points part. But I can definitely see how that makes this combat task deceptively hard, as my GM friends have said. Nevertheless, we now know that combat task and how to precisely do it, but we're not going to do it, at least for not right now. In the future, I might actually go for Grandmaster if I feel up to the task, but for right now, I should just focus on getting Coliseum completions and getting our Sunfire Prayer gear. Anyways, a little bit break in the action because if you notice, I have slapped on different gear. In our previous runs, we've been running melee gear, obviously with the Oath Plate and Scythe, as that's best in slot. But we also did that in combination with a max or close to max mage set, missing a couple of key items. Basically, we've been using the Tumikin's Shadow. However, we are making the switch to the Twisted Bow. This is a similar setup to what we used on 416 Hero, and I really didn't think about this, but turns out the Twisted Bow setup is actually better DPS than the Shadow method. Since I'm not doing melee only runs anyways, I like to bring a secondary style with me in these runs. I've been using the Shadow and it obviously works, so I never second guessed it. But turns out the Twisted Bow range setup is actually better DPS than the Shadow. And you'll notice that in my inventory, I have more room for brews, restores, and just overall supplies now. And that's because I'm only bringing the Sang, and that allows me to wear the Book of the Dead into the Fortis Colosseum, and I'll just drop one to make room for the two-hand weapons. The only downside to this is that a one-way switch into the Sanguinesti staff is not going to one-shot the melee Berserker Fremnik, but I don't think that's too big of a deal. We did that on 416 Hero out of necessity, and it honestly wasn't too bad, so I will just make that trade-off now on this account as well. After a day of struggle yesterday, today, a few attempts in, we finally get ourselves a KC. Albeit it was still a bit shaky, as you can see in my inventory, I'm completely out of food. But nevertheless, we got the KC. Unfortunately, as you saw, I didn't get any uniques besides the quiver, which is not the first priority of things we're after right now. Another day, another farm run on 416 Hero. Actually, to be more accurate, I already did Hespori, and that put me at just 5.1k EXP away from 99 farming. And yesterday we had a farming contract for a yew tree. Now we're just going to check the health on this yew tree, and that should put us at 99. That is the second 99 on the account after fire making. Let's go get the cape. Okay, in order to get the cape, we have to talk to Martin, the Master Gardener in Draenor Village. Ask him about the skill cape of farming. And yeah, you know, It's cost 99k, but here we go. Now, one of the benefits to having the farming cape is that it gives a 5% increase to the base chance on herb patches, so, as well as the ability to potentially gain extra herbs. This also works with the magic secateurs, so anytime we do any farm runs, we're essentially going to slap the farming cape on and secateurs as usual. On top of that, obviously, the farming cape has a teleport that puts you right into the farming guild. And this is probably like the next best unlimited teleport to a bank after the crafting guild, the crafting cape TP that puts you at the crafting guild. On 416 Hero, I don't think we're going to be doing fruit tree and tree runs anymore. That's not necessary, but we will try to stay on top of contracts. And with that being said, our next one is to plant a magic tree. Now, I don't know if I have any magic. Oh, I do have one, exactly one. Okay. Yeah, through my journey to getting 99 farming, we've used a ton of magic saplings and palm tree seeds. We actually have palm tree seeds left, but I think we're almost completely out of magic saplings. Okay, now that we have the 99 farming out the way on 416, we are back on Wait For It, continuing our Coliseum grind. Now, to be honest, things have not been going too well, so today we're making a few adjustments. We've swapped the Prims to the Echo Boots just for a little bit of extra prayer and defense, and we also swapped out our Lucky Penny for Rada's Blessing for more prayer. I've come to the realization that despite having multiple Coliseum KCs on 3 different accounts, I still struggle here because my knowledge of the Coliseum is still based on the first couple of weeks of release. I haven't watched any guides, and this content has been out for quite some time now, so naturally over time, people have figured out how to better do the Coliseum, how to solve most instances, most situations, and I'm just not up to date on that information. So I did watch some guides very briefly, and honestly, I should continue watching more guides, but I'm a little bit impatient. I'm going to try and see if I can withhold any of the information that I've learned and hop in there and try to get some more completions. New PB. No uniques, unfortunate. We'll take the new PB though. Very nice. Oh my god, yes! I almost immediately clicked onto the next modifier and moved on to the next wave without looking, but we finally got one of the Sunfire pieces. We got the Sunfire Fanatic. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but it's the top. Claim, we're not risking it. I didn't even look at what was next wave, we're not risking it. There it is. Let's take it out, bank everything else. Collection log. What was that? Wave 10. Very nice. Now we just need the pair of legs until we have one complete Sunfire set. We do have the helmet. We pulled that quite some time ago, so long ago that I don't really remember when. I don't even think I was consistently making YouTube videos, at least not the GIM series back then. As with the goal of the series, we are trying to get 2 of everything so that each account, 416 Hero and Wait For It, will have 1 of everything. So I don't have to trade over items back and forth and whatnot. But I'm very happy with getting 1 set for now. So hopefully we get the legs soon. Another KC in the books. KC 19. Do we get any goodies from Sol? Ooh, we get an Echo Crystal. Nice. Oh my. Apparently I had the legs the last wave and I didn't even check. Okay, good thing I completed wave 10 and I checked the loot. We are claiming this. and getting out of here. Turns out we got the legs on wave 9. Wow. Just like that, we got the top and legs today. Now, let's take a look at the collection log on this account. We actually have everything but the pet. I don't think I've actually pulled an onyx from the Colosseum for what it's worth, but, you know, the uncut onyx can be got from, you can get from Zulrah, I believe, and maybe like 1 or 2 other locations. But yeah, here we are, essentially Glog except the pet. And more importantly, we have Sunfire top and bottom, which was the initial goal and what we were after from the beginning of this grind. Naturally, having completed the grind, we have to put on the full set of armor one time for the one time to show it off. Now, the Sunfire set is the best in slot prayer armor. The Echo boots are good prayer, but the Devout boots actually are better. But Echo boots are from the Colosseum, they're from the same location, and they do have a bit of better prayer than, say, like Prims or something. And it matches, it looks cool. As for the helmet, the Sunfire Fanatic helmet, we're never really going to be using that, honestly. Besides, I know people are going to comment on it. Most people like the top and bottom, but the helmet, not so much. But that's okay because, you know, you usually wear prayer gear when you're doing Slayer tasks. And naturally, you're going to be wearing a Slayer helmet.